Andrew, how is it that for a code like yours that has a more than $1 billion 5-year broadcast deal alone, that the moment a crisis strikes, you are turning around to the government asking for taxpayer handouts?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad you asked that question because I'd like to jump in here. There's an absolute positive slant to this because under pressure, your true colours come out. And what we've seen with rugby league, and everything that Tracey says is right, we're not for profit. So revenues flow in and they get fully distributed, whether it's through the elite game or through to grassroots. Through this crisis, what we've seen is incredible leadership and teamwork and a sharing of the pain amongst all the stakeholders. Our players have been terrific. Our clubs have been responsive. We've had a great collaboration with our sponsors and our partners at the elite level to be able to absorb the pain. We're going to come through this crisis, as Tracey alludes, with a very clear focus on what we need to do differently to be even more sustainable. But the truth is that getting back on the field and getting footy back to our fans has enabled us to survive this crisis and to be able to do so in a way in which we can think about how we can get even more efficient.
So did you not need the millions that you were asking for from the Commonwealth Government on the 15th of March when Peter V'landys said that the government has to assist us in this crisis because it's not of our doing?
Well, I think there's a broad range of stakeholders affected by that. Don't forget that our partners have been heavily affected in the media industry, as you'd be aware.
This is a question. Did you need that money or not?
Well, of course we needed support. We needed support from state governments, but it may not be financial.
So why were you asking for money?
Well, I think there's an opportunity for us to reflect on a point in time in a situation where a sport needs to understand at that particular point in time we had an unprecedented shutdown and an uncertain future. So we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get back up at all this season. On that basis, we would have needed support, absolutely. But what we've done is we've rallied internally. We've shared the pain amongst all the stakeholders and we've gone back on the field. And we're in a position that we've created for ourselves where we don't need to lean on that. But it may have been very different. If Australia hadn't been so organised at managing this pandemic and sports weren't able to resume, it would be a far more catastrophic situation for all sports, not just for rugby league.
Andrew, can I jump in and just ask how many people were stood down from the NRL and how many of those will come back?
Yeah. So, I mean, when we initially powered down, so I'm talking just now at NRL head office, we had the majority of our staff stood down and a very small group of people working to manage the finances and to reorganise the season. At this particular point in time, we've started powering back up. So we're starting to bring back people. And of course, through this period, many sacrifices were made by our teams. So I remember the first meeting that I had to staff was via Zoom. And there's nothing more impersonal than talking to a camera, knowing that there are a couple of hundred people at home, not sure about their future as employees. And these are people that are very passionate about sport. But we're in the position now where we're able to phase people back in. So we have more and more people coming back to work, obviously taking into account social distancing and physical constraints. And then ultimately we aim to power right back up. But the point being, we will look very different in the long term. We need to do that work. We need to think about what our new operating model looks like for the future.
Brendon, Gale, is it similar for AFL when you look across the community within your sport? Is it going to be a different operation in the longer term?
Yeah, look, I think so, and I think the points have been well made. We are not for profit. All our proceeds go into supporting our football teams, our mini teams, our social impact, our community work. But the point worth making is good management requires good risk management. But no one could really forecast a global pandemic of this nature. I mean, this is unprecedented. It's seismic, and it's been a huge challenge. It's affected participation around the country. Our members, millions of members of fans. We stood down many staff, volunteers, our players have had to take significant pay cuts. There's been a real focus on managing costs to get us through this short-term, I guess, a challenge. And we will have to reset. There's great uncertainty around revenue. We'll have to reset. We'll have to sort of trim our sails accordingly. We will continue to present the best version of our club, of our code, but there will be some changes.
What will it look like, though? How will it be different? Are we going to see less of the flashy cars, the big parties? Is it going to be a less showy deal?
Well, I think if you look at the code that I'm involved with and our team, we're an elite, I guess, high performance sporting outfit. And we've got a very strong development part as well. So we've got VFL teams, VFLW teams, women's teams. We've got next generation academy zones. We're cultivating talent in various regions, and I think inevitably there will be more of a shift towards the elite forms of the game, and obviously the elite men's and AFLW elite women, which is obviously has been and will continue to be such a major growth story for our club.